Thanks to technology and handheld devices like this one, we never have to feel bored ever again. But is that really true? We're going to be talking about all that and more, but first, coffee. Now, the coffee we're going to be drinking today is from Myanmar. It's an Alel Chuang washed. It's medium dark roast. And we're going to be testing it today in the Wako Pico Presso. But what's really interesting about today's topic is that actually exactly what I'm doing right now is part of the topic. Filling in little pockets of time so that we never have to feel bored. Whether it's making a tiny little espresso, or whether it's playing a little video game, whether you've got 2 minutes free, 5 minutes free, or you've got half an hour free. There is no shortage of ways to fill your time with stuff to do. I'm not sure if I've ever had a coffee from Myanmar, but I'm quite excited. Depending on how much time I've got free, I will vary the complexity of the coffee that I'm going to make. To be honest, sometimes a coffee like this can take upwards of like 20 minutes. Make the coffee, then clean it all up at the end as well. Let's go with 5.1. That always seems like a safe place to start. And because we have smartphones, and because we have these handheld video game devices like this one, this is an Aya Neo Air 1S. I've also got an Asus ROG Ally. I've got the Steam Deck. It's way too easy to fill up all of your time and never be bored. What is the actual cost of that? Let's grind! You may think like, wow, we're living in a fantastic age where no more time is wasted. But then what's the actual cost of having no time wasted? You know, when you had nothing to do and you would just sit around on the couch and it was kind of relaxing? We don't even think of relaxing like that anymore. We think of relaxing as the thing that we do with Netflix. Relaxing is the thing I do while watching a YouTube video. In fact, you might even be relaxing right now. You may have taken 10 or 15 minutes off your work break and looked up, yeah, what videos are about 10 or 15 minutes long? And then this has come up on your YouTube feed and you're like, oh yeah, this is perfect. I'll watch this video before I go back to work. How many times do you reach straight for your mobile phone or reach straight for your video gaming device like this? Or recently what I've been doing is I've been reaching straight for this. It's an Amazon Kindle. I bought this, I don't know, it's like 10 years ago. I always feel like I'm making a good use of my time. Sometimes I feel like I'm making a waste of my time, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have spent all my time watching a YouTube video. I'll do something else which I think is like better. So reading or listening to a podcast or listening to an audiobook or trying to do things that are bettering myself. But the truth is, those things are also kind of ruining the experience. I think I'm getting away with not spending my time poorly by spending my time on something which is worthwhile. But also, those things are getting in the way of health, to be quite honest, by staying constantly stimulated, by staying constantly focused on content, by constantly consuming things. We are preventing the brain from entering a state where it would normally be doing other things like, oh, I've got nothing else to do now. Maybe I'll contemplate on that thing that happened to me yesterday. Or, oh, I've got no time right now. Maybe I'll start fleshing out an idea for a character that I was going to draw that I never really got around to. You don't know until you take some time away from the overstimulated experience to finally discover that you've been robbed of your time. This is actually a really precious, valuable time in your day that technology, like smartphones and whatnot, have been kind of robbing from you. Often technology will be like, yes, well, I'm providing a way for you to connect with your loved ones. That's not a bad thing. You can't say no to that. Or I'm providing a way for you to get work done so that you don't have to be stuck at your desk all the time. It's like, that's fantastic. That sounds really good. But when you sign up for those benefits, what you don't realize is that you also sign up for all of the detrimental effects that also come with the technology that offers this much power. It's like, with great power comes great responsibility. Unfortunately, our smartphones give us a huge amount of power, but they take no responsibility whatsoever for what happens to you next. Just going to give these beans a shake so I don't have to stir them. Just open up the top of this Pico Presso and pull out the special dosing ring. I think that's what it's called. That will prevent it from spilling everywhere. I've been reading a book called Digital Minimalism. I think it's a bestseller. Millions of billions of people have already read it. But I'm not 100% sure that millions and billions of people are really benefiting from the lessons that are in there, because no matter how many of these books exist, it seems like people still go about their lives kind of ignoring the lessons that were in them. For years of my life, I've been trying to do the sort of things that are written in this book. But at the moment, I'm actively trying to spend time away from my phone. The first reason, which I think is quite a noble one, and one that, I think you can't really argue with, is the more that I play with my phone in front of my son, he's a 3-year-old kid now, the more that I play with my phone in front of him, the more that he gets the idea that it's okay to be constantly on a device. He doesn't have a device of his own, and he doesn't really have the vocabulary to, beg for one or, ask for it all the time. And even if he does ask for it, I limit the amount of time that he's allowed to spend on things like the iPad. Kids always want to be on the iPad. But that's not an inborn behavior. That's something that they learn. Something that is taught to them. And who teaches them that? Their parents. And that's me. So on the one hand, I'm avoiding technology kind of being in my hand all the time, every time I got a free moment, because I want to show my own son that it's possible to, get through a day and spend moments of the day without entertainment. But what's the point of imparting a lesson to someone if it's not something that you actually believe, not even something that you really benefit from yourself? The first reason, obviously for his benefit, I'm trying to show him that he doesn't need to always be stimulated by iPad. It's obviously not the issue that, just the content is bad these days. It's like, actually, there's lots of good content, but you can consume even good content in a bad way. And that comes back to what I was saying about my Kindle, right? I'm reading books. I'm reading fiction. I'm reading nonfiction. I've associated over my life the word book with something positive, something that's good for you. But in fact, sometimes the way that you consume it can be kind of unhealthy. I forgot to boil the water. All right, the Pico Presso is warmed up. I'm going to put the shower screen on top here, slide this into the unit. All right, take a look at that tasty coffee from Myanmar. Certainly smells like an espresso. Oh, it feels nice and thick. That's not like anything I've had before. What? It's like an adventure. Okay, it is creamy, but it's also watery at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. It's almost like there's two parts to the drink. The shot came out in about 40 seconds, but I spent about 20 seconds rewrapping it in towel because it's way too hot. Peachy? I don't know why I'm saying peachy. It doesn't taste anything like peaches. Maybe it does taste peachy. Would that make sense? Because of technology, I feel like it's really easy to feel like our lives are better now. With smartphones especially, it's definitely moved on to this point where it's like, yeah, they're giving you a lot of stuff, but wow, the way that things are automated now, the way that things are run by formulas and mathematics, it really feels like it's not just offering you something and as part of the side effect, it's kind of detracting from your life in other ways. It's almost like the whole point is to suck everything out of you as possible and hopefully mask it with all of the nice stuff that comes with it as a benefit. It takes all of your attention away to the point that even when you would normally be spending free time doing other things, you feel compelled to pick up your phone and check the messages. Pick up your phone and open up like a social media app. I would close Twitter and then I would open it right back up again. My mind had completely forgotten that Twitter was the app that I had closed. And there I was, back in the app. It had my attention again. I'm quite grateful that now that I have a kid, I'm forced to constantly think about the kid. And as a result, I have to reevaluate my own actions and behaviors. I managed to discover something new for myself. These minutes that you spend, that you would normally be spending on your phone, they add up. And then the meaning starts to add up as well. It's not just hours and hours of your life that you will get back, but it's also the quality of the time. And let's say that you're on a date with someone at a restaurant. They say, I'm going to go to the bathroom. What's the first thing you do? You get out your phone and you start playing around. It's like, oh, this is my opportunity to check up on the news, check up on what's going on. It's just like, are you really that interested in the news? So at what point did you become this worldly, amazing person who's always interested in politics? It's not like we made a decision. We looked at the internet and we spent a few days evaluating our options. Like, oh, okay, people bickering about what someone said after a tournament. I care a lot about that one. I'm going to follow that topic. I don't think it was like that. It was more like, I don't really know what I'm doing on this app, but it couldn't hurt to own it, right? So you download the app. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I can't believe he said that. What? That's ridiculous. Oh no, that won't do. You quote retweet it with your own opinion. Like, this is absurd. I can't believe that this is happening. Someone should step in and say something. Suddenly we're like drawn into these political wars. I'm not talking about like government politics, just like poles, as in like, this is the North Pole and that's the South Pole. So by gaining extra hours of my life back by not being glued to my phone, I've also got the quality of time back, which makes me feel like time is moving by at a better pace. One of the biggest issues that I think everyone will experience as they grow older is how time just seems to speed up. I think of all of my memories as a child, and I realized that I thought everything was taking forever. I was always waiting forever. It's like, when does the next episode of Centurions come out? When does the next Zord, when are they going to tell us what's the next Power Rangers Zord that's going to come out? I really remember very, very clearly, it's one of my favorite memories of all time, is playing Final Fantasy VII, sitting in the computer room. Really aging myself here. And that's where the one computer in the house was. You had to go to the computer room. Anyway, I spent 4 hours on a Sunday leveling up Quadra Cut. Using this materia, you hit the enemy twice instead of once. But if you level it up, you hit the enemy 4 times. I remember finally getting Quadra Cut after I had leveled up enough experience points and ability points to get it leveled up. And I thought to myself, wow, when I started this, it was daytime. And now it's sunset. How did I spend 4 hours playing a video game? Like the thought of playing a video game for 4 hours nowadays, that's like, oh, only 4 hours? I prefer the streams that are like 8 hours long. I prefer streams that are like 13 hours long. I need something in the background the whole day. 4 hours was like the longest time I'd ever heard of. I couldn't believe I'd spent that long playing a video game. I remember that a lot of my childhood was sitting in the car waiting. Like, someone's got a piano lesson, so you gotta sit in the car and wait. The feeling of boredom then wasn't the same as the feeling of boredom now. Like, back then, it was like, okay, I have to wait a long time and this sucks, but, you know, I'll get on with it. I'll do something. I'll, like, kick a stone against the curb. I'll find something to do. But these days, not only for kids, but for myself as well, I have no moments like that. There are no moments in my day when I can't think of something that I could be doing. I even have a list on my phone called things I can be progressing when I'm not able to play video games. And most people don't have rules against social media in the workplace, do they? I mean, you're allowed to go on Twitter, browse, check out some Instagram pages, buy something on Amazon. I don't feel like there'll ever be a moment where I genuinely have nothing to do. But the main detriment is that you feel like time just disappeared. That's the main thing here. When I was a kid, yeah, there were moments when I was kind of bored. I had to just get on with it. And I felt like time was moving a little slower than I would have liked it to move. But these days, I never get to experience that. I never get to experience time moving slowly. When I was a kid, I thought, like, that's something you don't want. You don't want time to move slowly. You want it to move quickly. You want to move on and on quickly and quickly on to the next thing that you wanted. You know, I want the new toy to come out. I want the new TV episode to come out. These days, we don't really have to wait for anything. Even if we are excited about something, there's plenty for us to be wasting our time doing in between. And as a result, we never have these moments during the day where we feel like, nothing's happening. And it's so wonderful when it happens. After this video finishes, before you open up Twitter, before you open up Facebook, before you open up WhatsApp, before you open up any Instagram or social media tool, just look out whatever closest window you've got. Just stare, just like this. Just like, nothing's happening. And if you do this, like, once a day, eventually you feel like, got through the week. Feels like it took a while. You don't just feel like it was a long slog. You feel like, I actually do have the time to do things that I wanted to do. Whereas if you fill up every moment of your life with stuff, just busy, I don't want to call it busy work because it's not really work, but like social media stuff, just browsing around on Twitter or even looking at YouTube videos like this one, you just feel like, I don't remember having any free moments this week. It just sort of ended. That has been happening to me a lot, the past few years. It's just like, where did the time go? Time just ended. I wasn't forced to experience moments where nothing was happening. Moments where your brain kind of puts like a stake in the ground. Like, this is a moment I should remember. Being sociable is a fantastic thing. Question is, do you want to be sociable 99% of your day? 99.9% of your day? Does every waking minute need to be filled by something? And if it isn't, what are you really missing out on? You got this far in your life without knowing everything about everyone before. Like, if you were to, for example, close down YouTube today, don't close your account, but if you were just like to turn off the app and not use it for the rest of the day, what would you really miss? Maybe a few art tutorials, maybe a few coffee videos, maybe miss out on a review of some new faster SSD that came out. It's like, okay, yeah, but you could find those videos tomorrow. It's like, there will always be stuff to do. Even if you filled up all of your time, you're like, I caught up with everything. You didn't, because there's 6 trillion other things that you didn't read on social media today, because you didn't have time. You just felt like you've covered everything. You feel like you've seen everything there is to see because you spent every minute that you had. But the truth is, you don't have to spend any of those minutes on social media at all. I will say at the end of this video, please click on the next video up there. But don't click on the next video up there. Just close the app, have a look outside and go, nothing's happening. And it will feel like you planted a stone in the ground, like a place where you can feel grounded. And if it happens like 4 or 5 times in the week, so you only have to do it like once a day, then when you get to the end of the week, you'll look back on the week and go, I had like solid moments this week when I didn't have to do anything. You will get the courage to do it even more and more and more. And it's not that it's addictive, but once you see what the value in this is, then you start producing other stuff. You become, it's not that, it's kind of like contradictory, like avoid productivity so that you can get more productivity. Like, the goal is not to become more productive, but there are a large number of things that you've probably put off. And in my case, I always say this, but things that I wanted to draw, things that I wanted to, like stories that I wanted to write. I actually had enough time to do about a whole hour of writing a new story. And then the following day, I had about 45 minutes that I could spend designing some new costumes for my character. And I'm thinking of like making a character that'll be like a mascot for the channel. At the moment, my channel icon is just me, but I'd like to have like a separate mascot character. These are all things that I'd like to do. And I constantly feel like I don't have enough time. Like, time is moving too quickly. I'll never get around to it. But the truth is, I have loads of time. If you get something done early, and instead of going on Twitter for 15 minutes, you actually just get out your notebook for 15 minutes, you could easily have like an hour every day to relax, maybe come up with 1 or 2 ideas for something that you want to do, so that when you finally get around to Saturday, it's not like, oh, I haven't had time to brainstorm, I haven't had time to think about these things. What you really will have is a list of maybe 5 to 10 different things that on Saturday morning you could be like, okay, I could turn this into a video. I'll turn on the camera and do it. This topic goes significantly deeper than this. The whole concept of digital minimalism, I'm not advocating it 100%. It definitely opens up your eyes to what's happening with social media and kind of what it's taking away from you. Because on the surface of it, social media is sold with all the benefits. You're going to have easier ways to connect with people who you love. Like, you can't say no to that. Like, that's obviously a good thing. But it comes with all of these hooks. You know, it's like a fish hook. It's like you take the bait and you get hooked by the actual fishing tackle or whatever it's called. Let's say that you spent 2 hours on social media every day. That's like 10 hours of your life. Imagine if you wrote a list of all the things that you had read on social media in those 10 hours. The list would be monstrous. It would be huge. It would be all of these opinions by people that you've never met, lots of people that you don't even like, and if dead internet theory is true, probably all of them are not even real people. So the people that you've met before, you'll know that they're real, but they might be spending a lot of their time arguing with bots. I think you'd go through that list and you'd be able to cross off every single one of them as, I didn't need to know that. I didn't need to know that. That hasn't made my life better. I could have read that at the end of the week in a sort of bring it all together article. There are plenty of ways to catch up. And there are loads of YouTube channels that help you waste a lot less time by just catching up on all the news. You guys probably remember I had a news show on this channel where I would collect from social media any news that I could find about fighting games. Not like the drama stuff. I was like uninterested in the drama stuff. But if it was interesting technologically, if it was about rollback netcode updates or character updates or stuff about the actual fighting games and the good stuff, I thought I wasn't draining myself, but I was. I was massively draining myself, my energy and my time, and just emotionally just draining myself going through social media thinking, oh, I'll just pick stuff up since I'm on Twitter anyway. But like that turned into just being on Twitter for hours and hours and hours. There are a lot of creators out there who are happy for that to be their job, to like collect all these things. But does it need to be your job? Could your job to be something else? Could you be a gardener and then just watch the 10-minute video that summarizes, the 3 or 4 actually interesting things that happened this week in the world of fighting games? What I'm trying to say is that you can have it all. You can have all of this time back if you just spend 10 seconds. When this video ends, in fact, let's just end the video right now. This video is going to end in 20 seconds, so I've been NihongoGamer. Definitely subscribe if you enjoyed it. Watch this video some other time, doesn't have to be next. I'll see you real soon. And right now, I want you to close this app and just take 15 seconds to look out the window and go, nothing's happening. I'm going to do this again tomorrow. See you next time.